How are you going, guys? Jamin here from Oztech Drones. So guys, we're back with an exciting new product. This is probably one of the biggest products, the differences in XAG that we've had a long time. It's really going to increase your productivity, reliability, how easy it is to use and everything like that. We've been using this now for probably about a month, and yeah, to be honest, it's made our job so much easier and a lot more reliable, we're finding. So first up, what is it? So it's called the ARC3 Pro. So the ARC3 Pro, that's what it's called. We shorten it to ARC3 Pro. Pretty much, we're just going to go over it, what it can do, you know, what it's for and everything like that. So pretty much, it replaces a lot of the old stuff that XAG used to have. So XAG used to be focused on autonomy. They were great at their autonomy drones, that's what they focused on. They didn't have, you know, very good manual controllers or anything like that, so they focused on the autonomy side of things. So what they've done, they've listened to a lot of consumer reviews and everything like that. They've brought out a manual controller. This manual controller does a lot of things though. It's not just a manual controller, it can do a lot of things, and we're going to go through that now. So we're going to look at it first, obviously. So as you can see, it's not a huge controller. So they've thought about, you know, the person working on the field when they've thought about this controller. You know, we've seen some big controllers. I know, you know, the controllers are good, bigger controllers are good to have, you know, for your photography sort of drones and stuff like that. With these automated ones, obviously, you don't want to be carrying around a big, heavy controller all the time. So they've really thought about that side of things as well. You don't always need to be carrying it either for your manual controls, for your automated controls. You can just use the phone. But they've had a phone holder on here now so that you can put your phone on there if you want to manual control it as well, so you can look at the camera and stuff through that. So obviously they've got the phone holder on top, and you've also got your nice comfy joysticks. It's actually very nice to hold. It's got grips underneath. It's actually very comfy to hold, we've found. So in that sort of, you know, it's light, it's not going to weigh a ton. It's good for, you know, running around on the, you know, if you're out on the field, you don't want something you're gonna, you know, get sick of holding. You can just put it down anywhere and those sort of things. They do come with like a lanyard as well if you want to connect it to yourself. But yeah, to be honest, if you're changing batteries and those sort of things, we just put it down on the truck or the trailer or those sort of things, and we don't have any issues. Obviously, it's got its antennas on top, basic antennas like every other normal sort of bits and piece. The big thing that a lot of people seem to ask is, what's this thing on top here? So this is a big advantage of why we're using this. So this is actually the RTK unit. So they've taken away, alternatively, what you can use now, you don't need any RTK units. You can just use this full-on controller and it'll still have the RTK accuracy. So all it does is obviously it just plugs in top there. You don't have to use it, but if you do want to use that RTK accuracy, you can use that. So there's 3 different RTK options now when you buy the drone. You can either have your normal RTK station like what we used to have, you know, your manual, you set it up on a tripod and those sort of things, and the drone refers back to that. You can also now have a fixed RTK base station. So we have one on our workshop roof. So that has a 50-kilometer range and it's powered by solar panels. It's always on. The only problem with that is that you have to have a SIM card just in the controller. So you have to be within service, which for what we do is good because, you know, most of our operations around here, we do have service. But for most of the guys out west and those sort of things, they don't have any service. So if you have service, it can work on that. But if you don't, you know, you can also use Starlink. This will also link to Starlink as well if you want to try that. That's also another option as well. So you can do that as well. But the alternative, which is what we've been using a fair bit lately, is the virtual RTK. So that's what this little bit is on top here. So it's called a virtual RTK. So what it does is it references back to the drone, back to the controller, and then back to the GPS. So it's like a triangle. So that virtual RTK has still got the centimeter accuracy. So it's still really accurate. They say if you're going to mark out a field and then fly it, with that accuracy, you have to do that field within about a few hours, like 2 to 3 hours, to get that centimeter accuracy still. In saying that though, you can now fly the drone to one corner of the field, then you can put it to the corner, fly the drone so you know exactly where it is on the corner, and then mark that boundary in reference to where the drone is, and then it has that centimeter accuracy. Righto, so that's the RTK side of things. So there is a few on the manual side of things with the actual controller. So as you can see, the actual controller has a few buttons up the top here as well as a few knobs. So these knobs is so you can if you want to manually fly the drone, you can turn the sprays on, you can adjust the amount, like litres per minute that comes out of the drone, and you can also adjust your droplet sizes on the other controller. So you can adjust it from 500 to 70 microns just by turning those knobs. You'll also find that if you, one of these knobs here, you can just turn one spray on and one spray off, you can alternate it. And then we've also got a function over this side where we haven't played with it too much, but you can set up your AB lines and everything like that, and it'll just, you know, fly. You can fly it to a point, set that point, fly it straight, and then press a button, it'll go over exactly 3 meters or whatever you've set out for it. And then that adjusts your row spacings and your speed and everything like that. So you can do it like that as well. We haven't played around with that too much just because we don't really need to. You can also turn off your obstacle avoidance. You can turn off your radar, your ground detection, everything like that with these as well. So just at a press of a button, you can do all that. They've made it very industrial because obviously most of our guys, they wear gloves and stuff when they're dealing with a lot of this chemical. So you don't want to be dealing with touchscreens or anything like that. It's very user-friendly, we're finding. And yeah, it's pretty good on that. So it also now acts as a RTK receiver to mark your plots out as well. So say if you want to run around your boundary, you can actually mark it out with this receiver now as well. It's RTK accurate. You don't need any other controllers or anything like that. So you can do it all through here. Whether it references to this or whether it references to your fixed station or to your manual base station, that's up to you. We've done it like, we've just rocked up to a job multiple times now and we've only used this controller, fully off this controller, marked it all out with this controller. We've, whether we mark it out with this or we mark it off a satellite map, and then we just fly it fully off that, and we can move the field to suit if it's out a little bit off the GPS map or anything like that, we can move it. But you can control everything, do everything off this controller now if you want. We'll do a manual flight first. So we'll run through. All you're really doing is just like a normal drone. All you're doing is pulling down the joysticks. The drone's going to take off. So it'll hover like this at the moment. If you just let go of the, joysticks, it's just going to hover. You can, so it's very responsive too. You'll see, like for such a big drone, it's actually very responsive. You can fly it like a, you know, a little sort of drone. It's very fun to fly, to be honest. So we'll just bring him back and we'll show you the sprays. Righto, so if we want to do a manual spray, all we're doing is we're literally just pressing and holding this button here and it turns the sprays on. If we want to adjust the output, we can just, you can see it's putting more out there on the drone now. We can adjust the droplet size by this one here. It goes a heavier droplet, or we can go a finer droplet. You can just change it all with that, as you can see. We just do one press and it'll turn the sprays back off. So it's very easy now to manually spray. You can literally fly over to the job, turn the sprays on, and then start spraying if you want to manually spray. As you can see, that's a very fine spray. We can coarsen it up. See, now it's a lot coarser, and off we go. Right, so now what we're going to do, we're going to go through how quick it is and easy to set up an automated field. So we've just rocked up here. We're not setting up any base stations or anything like that. We're not waiting for any LNTs to connect or anything. This is how quick it is now to get going in the air. So we're going to mark out a field quickly. We're just going to mark it off a satellite map. So literally we just mark a few points, close that off, save. We'll just call this test. Okay, so now we just go operation. So you can see, oh, the blue's there from a job that we just did, test we did earlier. I'll get rid of that. So now all we do is go select the field, yes, confirm. You can see the drone is already in RTK mode because we're linked to the controller's RTK. And then literally we just go start operation, yes, yes.
Self-checking.
Go. So that's how quick it is now to really get in the air. So we're not having to wait for LNT or anything like that to get going. We can just, you know, pretty much just go from scratch. So guys, another thing as well that we can do is sometimes obviously you want to manually fly to the field first. So we can literally, so if I take off now, we're going to manually take off. I'm going to fly it. Maybe you can fly it quicker than what you think the automation can. Be a bit of an obstacle you want to get around. So all I do now is once I'm in the field, I just hit resume and I go start.
Self-checking.
And you can see now it's going to start doing the field. Off it goes. So you can manually fly it out there to start the field. I can also press any control on the controller and take over manually. So say if we're coming up to a tree, I want to go around that tree. Say I can go up and then I can go forward, and I can go back down over the tree, and then it gives you a few functions as to where you are in relation to the field. You can start where you are now, you can start back where you stopped, you can skip that row if you want, you can change a lot of these things. So it's a lot more, you know, you don't have to go back to wherever you broke that operation line. You can start wherever you want, really. You can move the drone to start up, you know, another 10 meters further, and you just press continue, and then it'll keep going. So that's a big advantage for that as well. Obviously we can see the camera and everything on here. We can control and fly it off the actual camera. So it's great for, you know, those manual sort of operations where you need the camera to fly it off. So we can go back from manual to automation quite easily. It's really easy to go back from manual to auto. Right, so guys, just one more thing about the VRTK. So it's quite useful, to be honest. Like, alternatively, you don't really need any other RTK device. So what we've been finding is if we mark out with this, even if we come back in a few days later, and normally you would have to mark that point, come back and set your RTK base up at the same point, and then you'd have to put in those coordinates to be spot on. We're finding even if we rock up, we can be at the different end of the paddock or something like that. We turn everything on. As long as we position that drone over when we first start, we just position the drone over one corner of the field, and then you just literally press on the controller, align field with drone, and then it's spot on accurate. Like, that's how easy it is now to be able to do that. You pretty much don't need, unless you know, you don't want to do that, you can set up your RTK every time if you want as well. But yeah, it's making it a lot more user-friendly in that sort of terms, that's for sure. You can, like, we have our fixed RTK on our roof, so when we do all of our real terra maps and all of our you know, your X-mission sort of mapping, that all refers back to that, so it makes all those maps spot on accurate as well. That's probably the only thing you would need your RTK unit for, is to do that sort of stuff, and then it references straight back to that. That has a 50k radius, but you do need your cellular network to be able to do that. Righto, so guys, I guess in conclusion, we'll go over, you know, I think we're finding these things are really increasing our productivity on the field. We're not, if we have to move, we don't have to set up anything else. We can just rock up there, we can just turn this on. It's reliable, it's going very well. You don't have to worry about you know, RTK units, LNT units, or anything like that. It's really reduced the price of the whole units as well, so we're getting the price right down. You don't have to buy all those other accessories for the drone to actually work. So that's a huge advantage of it as well. We still use LNT if we have to, like, it's a good backup, I guess. So it's not like we're throwing it away. But yeah, in terms of the ARC3, I think this is a big game changer for all of us XAG users. Currently it's only working with the P100. There is talks that they might bring it out for the V40. We are working on that, so we'll see how we go. But yeah, currently it's working with the P100 very well. These will be released in the next few weeks. What's today anyway? It's nearly the end of March. So yeah, you'll see these shortly. So yeah, I'm sure, like, you'd be silly not to get one of these if you were using it, because yeah, it's going to really increase your productivity, and yeah, we're very happy with how it's all working. So yeah, thank you. We'll catch you all later.